For years now, I've been on a mission to bring this, the ocean, to you. This little screen is at a maximum a TV in your living room, but probably more like your phone. I promise you it does not do it justice. I've been all over the world showing you mine through this little camera, but when I watch my own videos, I sometimes leave feeling like I've failed. So I'm here in this video to tell you that I'm taking it up a notch, and I've been at this for a while.
Each day is a weighted stone, each step is a way to go home. This road could take me there, but then the lights go out. I feel the red dot on my back, I don't wanna live like that.
This is a story that starts with some serious failures.
Dive one. Buster.
Let's get you caught up. Failure number 1. We tried to go to a site offshore of Delaware to take enough photos to stitch them together into a 3D model for VR. Once we even found the target, not a whole lot of worthwhile photos were taken, and I'm sure you can see why. They're barely Failure number 2. We tried it out in a more controlled setting at a lake. It was 38 degrees at the bottom, and you guessed it, we couldn't see. Which brings us to our third try, because after that many times of messing up, I finally decided it was a good idea to test it out in the pool. Imagine that. As for the fourth try, I'm not even going to talk about it because we literally blew up the boat's motor on the way out to the site. Thanks, Evan. Our fifth try brought us back to the same old lake, pea soup, 38 degree water, but this time with some new hardware.
So I got new camera lights. I'm gonna take you with me. I'm gonna try and do a really small sailboat, and it's gonna involve me just going around it, taking a lot of pictures. So this is my second time diving with a dry suit in open water. A lot of complicated variables here, but let's see what happens.
Here, Evan and I dropped down to about 70 feet to this little sunken sailboat aptly named Miss Fortune. After about half an hour, I had swum around all over the place, taking photos of the boat from just about every angle imaginable. You have to have a lot of overlap between the pictures so that you have lots of common points to stitch together in post. Obviously super dark, super murky down there, so lighting turns out to be really important. Namely, a lot of it, and also making sure that the lights are far enough from the camera so that you're lighting up the boat and not all the suspended crap in the water between the camera and the boat. So here's how I thought I did after the dive.
How many pictures do you think that we just got, or that I just got? You? A lot. I probably got like 100 to 150. You think 100?
I'd say 150.
150? How many pictures do you think you got of me?
Wait, 30?
Okay, so close to 200 photos in half an hour. That's pretty good. Now it's just a game of stitching everything together and see if we can make a model from that.
Lo and behold, we did not take even close to 200 photos. We took almost 600 photos. That is 1 every 3 seconds of the total dive time. And here's the result. Not bad. I took it a step further and put it into a VR environment using Unreal Engine. I do not feel like reliving that week of my life staring at the computer, and it's not very sexy work, but here's the result. The seafloor is actually real bathymetry data that I brought in from an artificial reef site offshore of Delaware. And then I dropped the sailboat in there just for fun. It doesn't actually belong in that physical place, but it's cool. I let people try this out at a public event recently, and it totally turned people of all ages into kids again.
What do you see?
The trial run is over, and we are not going to be taking this out to the ocean yet, but we are going to level it up a notch. We're actually headed out to a really popular dive site in Florida in the middle of like horse country. That's an underground cavern. No kidding. And this would not be a Grand Auto trip if I didn't bring a camera and a drone, and try to map the entire thing from like all the way down at the bottom of this cavern up to the treetops. While also teaching a class of 20 students underwater. Not a good situation. So I'm leaving tomorrow with a few upgrades. One is a pair of dive lights that could definitely cause permanent blindness. And the other, we will see if it's actually an upgrade, but I think you're gonna notice a difference. All right, it's finally time to do some diving.
Before the real diving started, we spent an incredible weekend with the manatees and the manatee whisperers in Crystal River. Rangers Ava and Emily gave the students what was supposed to be a dry tour of the Crystal River National Wildlife Refuge on their day off. And Dr. Bob Bondi gave hours of his time talking all things manatees with the students who had questions until they made us close the building for the evening. After that memorable weekend, we finally took stock of our home away from home, the Blue Grotto. At first glance, it looks like a small pool, but peek underneath and there's a lot more than what meets the eye. 4 training platforms, the deepest of which at 35 feet. A massive cavern with a dive bell where you can go up and take a break at 25 feet. And an incredible cave system that winds back 130 feet directly below where we set up our gear each day. It's a training mecca where the students here are going from open water divers up to rescue rated scientific divers under the American Academy of Underwater Sciences, or AAUS. The cavern's home to a population of bluegill that are breeding like bluegill, 2 species of catfish, tilapia, koi, and the 3 friendliest softshell turtles you'll ever meet. They actually just want food, but that's okay. This place is so cool, and there are nooks and crannies everywhere to explore. But right about now, I'm getting pretty excited because it's time to take a lot of pictures and then stitch them all together into a VR exhibit so that anyone can see this place as I do.
Yeah, buddy. Who's ready to go scuba diving?
Is that going?
Yeah. So this is where the other upgrade comes in very handy. New year, new me, 2026. Pulls open. All right, let the photos commence. I started with the cavern floor, just driving lines back and forth, taking pictures with my brand new lights, and then finished up with the ceiling on the way back. About 800 photos and 2,500 PSI later, we made light work of the entire cavern, and it was time to stitch all the photos together. It definitely worked. This is like the best thing that I've ever done. The reality of this situation was that this place is gigantic. I spent the entire first week of the trip getting to know the place and letting reality set in. Most of these students started out their journey on this trip as barely certified divers, so you can see here lots of vertical divers swimming around with their hands. So we just started by introducing them to the cavern and trying to create good diving habits. Not long after, we progressed to some advanced skills like their night dive and their deep dive, and then their rescue training. But they're all here for their scientific credential, not just to play in a cavern. So they have to do all the things a rescue diver can do, but their main objective is actually underwater work. We started scientific with some basic stuff like using lift bags, which we just fill with air to safely lift equipment underwater. After a little bit more advanced navigation practice, we hid some weights deep in the cavern for the students to find using their newly mastered search patterns.
With all the major boxes checked, the students were ready for their capstone project, which also meant I finally had the chance to sneak off with my camera.
Okay. What things am I nonchalant about that I should be chalant about?
I will 2 minutes. And then I'll let you finish. Yeah.
So we've got a lot going on here. I am going to have to take so many pictures. So this place is so vast and just like awesome that it can't be shown in like a single video shot for you. Hence why I'm trying to get it into VR. Ah, there it is. But this looks like a multi-dive operation, potentially a like several dive operation. So tomorrow morning, if I can get the time, I'm just gonna go down and take a bunch of photos of like one area, shallow, and just see what I can get. And then from there, I'm gonna need to make a much bigger plan. Yeah, let's see what I can stitch together, if I can fix all this stuff that needs to be fixed beforehand. For the students' capstone project, we pretended that this platform at 35 feet was a shipwreck. So we split them into two teams, a biological team and an archaeological team. The archaeological team did what is often done in academia, which is convince a consultant, and that's me, to produce a map for them for free because it's a cool project. So here I went, driving lawnmower lines over top of the platform with the camera continuously taking photos slow and steady. It's a good thing I wasn't a paid consultant for this map because at this point I had no idea if it was going to work. But I kind of had a good feeling. Let's merge some photos.
To the master plan. Ooh, I'll find my way out.
My mind is blown right now. I've never done anything like remotely this good. It's really clear down there, but I also had some help from my new friends. My high beams, as all my students are calling it. These lights make it just so much better for like the program to find all these like different points to stitch together. Wow. So this is definitely the best thing that I've ever done underwater, and I'm so excited. This here that I just made is a platform at about 35 feet that the students are all using as like a simulated archaeological site for their final project of this class. So they're taking like all the tools that we've been teaching them, like measuring things underwater and like doing biological assessments and like water samples and cores, and they're putting it all together into this final project at this platform. So being able to make them this like really cool map is so exciting, so fun. So I think this is going to be like pretty useful for them and super cool. But now it's time to try some rocks, which could be different because, as you may have noticed, it's mostly not platform like great material down there, it's mostly rock, and I don't know how this is going to work. So tomorrow is our last day here, and I'm going to use it to just take as many pictures as my memory cards will hold of rocks and try to stitch them all together. Wish me luck. Over the next 24 hours, I took about 3,000 pictures of rocks. I traveled far and wide trying to cover the area next to the platform, and I also experimented at the back of the cavern where there's virtually no ambient light. And this is where it gets fun. Doing this 3D model work actually really takes me back to when I was doing a lot of film photography, because I have this concept and I snap the shutter a bunch of times, but I have no idea for sometimes days to weeks if the end product is going to work out at all. So I've come to peace with just going down there, not without a plan, but definitely with an attitude of, well, I hope this works out. And at the worst, I got to dive today.
Can we get a photo?
For the last day, we took a really special trip to Devil's Den, which is another spring just down the road from the Blue Grotto. Far from being demonic or anything, it's an amazing loop full of swim-throughs, fish, and even sea biscuit fossils, all set inside this amazing little spring.
That was a life lesson.
I feel like
Oh my god, I had that.
like she had one line for
I was
every
like, she's so ungodly funny.
We returned to a slightly colder than usual Delaware. So what better way to take me back to Florida than for all these rocks to render into a perfect model, right?